Now it's time to add the functionality for instructors to schedule classes, view the upcoming ones, and cancel them if needed. Let's create a resource controller for the same. Sale artisan, make controller, scheduled class controller, resource. The controller is created. Next, let's register the resource routes in web.php. So let's do that down here. Route resource. And here we can call it instructor/schedule. Scheduled classes will be too long, so let's just minimize that to schedule. And now we just have to point this to the scheduled class controller. And we don't need all the resource routes like edit and update. They're not needed. So chain this with the only method. And we would need the index action to list all the classes. We need the create and store methods to create a class and save them. And finally, we need the destroy method to cancel a class. And of course, don't forget to chain this with the middleware instructor, because only instructors should be able to access these. Okay, let's verify if we've got the resource routes correct by checking the route list. Sale artisan, route list. And yeah, here we have the routes we just registered. Note that the names of these are schedule.index, schedule.store, and so on. So whenever needed, we have to use these names. Now let's go back to the controller's create method. But before that, let's remove the ones we don't need. We don't need to show a particular resource, no need to edit, update. Let me remove all of these. In the create method, let's return the view to display a form. Return view, instructor, not dashboard, instructor schedule. Let's create this view in resources, views, instructor, create a new blade file, schedule.blade.php. Let's copy the contents from the dashboard view itself, change the title to schedule a class. And this part here, I'll copy it from elsewhere and paste it just to save time. You can copy it from GitHub repository branch associated with this video. Let's see what we get in the browser by directly going to instructor/schedule/create. And yes, here's our form. We first have a select input to display some options of the class type, like yoga or dance fitness. And here we can select the date, and here the time. All of this are yet to be filled, and then the instructor can schedule the class. So for this select input to display some options of the type of classes, we first need our table class types to have some data. This one. For now, I'll manually fill it with some dummy data. You can do the same. This is done. I have filled in some dummy data. Now back to the code. Let's fetch all these class types and display them here as options. For that, let's go to the controller and fetch in the class types. Class types equals class type all. And here, chain this with class types. And in the view, let's get them. Here, let's wrap it within for each class types as class type. Add the option here. The value will be class type ID, but what we display here is the class type name. Alright, let's verify this. Refresh, yeah, we're able to see them here. The date, it's perfect, it's just a date pickup, but we need to set this so that only future dates can be selected. So add a min attribute and set it to a future date, that is tomorrow. So date YMD in this format, str to time tomorrow. Alright, so this is the minimum date, all the other dates will be disabled. And for the time, let me add some fixed options like 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. in the morning, which will be 050000, and do the same for 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., and then 5 p.m. in the evening, 6 p.m., 7 p.m., and 8 p.m. Let me quickly change all of this, these values as well, 6, 7, 8, and this would be 17, 18 hours, 19 hours, and 20 hours. Let's verify once again. And yes, we have our date. We can't select all the previous dates are disabled, only from tomorrow, and then our time as well. Right now, set the form action right here to the store route schedule.store. So now let's schedule a class, select the type of class, select a date and time, schedule. So we hit the store route and the store method. So here in our controller's store method, let's first validate the request that we're receiving. But even before we validate, note that we are taking the date and time inputs separately, but in our database table, it's a single column. So we have to combine them first. So use a date time variable and combine both the request input date, and add a space, request input time. Then merge this into the request with request merge. The column name is date time. So say date time is date time. Okay. Let's look at the table once scheduled classes. We have our date and time. We have our class type ID from the form itself. We need the instructor ID along with the request parameters. So along with date and time, also merge the instructor ID into the request. This will be our authenticated ID. All right. Now we can validate the request. Validated equals request validate class type ID. This field is required. And then our date time is required and unique as well. It's unique within the table scheduled classes, and the column is date time itself. And also this date time is after now, right? So it's a future date. Okay, this should be good. Now that it's validated, we can insert the row. Scheduled class, create, and pass in the validated array. But before we are able to do this, we need to allow mass assignment in the model. So open scheduled class model, and here, let's say protected guarded equals null. Okay, so we are allowing mass assignment. And also right now, this datetime value is currently a string, but in our table column, the datetime is of type datetime. So it's good to convert this format before storing. Instead of converting while storing and fetching, we can use date casting. In the model, add this datetime field to a protected cast variable, like so. Datetime is of type datetime. So now, whenever we store a string also, we will be able to get a datetime type, and even when we retrieve, it's the same. Now let's test this. Go back to the browser, refresh, continue submission. Oh, validate required does not exist. Sorry, there is a typo. Let me fix that. Controller required. All right, now let's try again. Refresh, continue. It says instructor ID doesn't have a default value. Looks like we forgot to add that here in validated. Instructor ID is also required. All right, now this should work. Let's try again. Refresh, continue. Okay, no errors. So let's check table plus, refresh. And yes, we have got the class scheduled. Now let me try and schedule one more class for the same date and time. Let me go back, create, and the same date, tomorrow 5 a.m, schedule, and obviously it doesn't work, but we are redirected to the same form. Here we need to show the error, right? Otherwise we don't know what's happening. But you already know how to do that, so I'll leave that to you. Make sure that you display errors, and also when the instructor comes back, redirected to the same form, these should be filled using the old method. So that's left to you. If you don't know how to do that, or if you're confused, you're stuck, you can check the GitHub branch associated with this video, the end state branch, and you can copy the code. So now I'll select a different class, a different time, and then schedule this, and this works. Next, in the index route, let's show all the scheduled classes. Here, let's fetch the scheduled classes equals, we want only this instructor's classes. So we fetch them using the one-to-many relationship that we just defined. So this instructor's scheduled classes get, let's DD and see if we're getting those classes. Go to the browser, schedule, and here we have both the classes. Yes. But what if we have a past date or time? We will be getting those classes as well, but we want to show the instructor only the upcoming classes. So let's chain the query with where date time is greater than now. So we get only the upcoming classes. Alright, we don't have to test this. Great. However, for this to be accurate, you might have to change the time zone of the app. If I assume this gym is in India, it follows Indian Standard Time. So in my app config app.php, this one, let me search for time zone and let me change this to Asia, Kolkata, so that this app will be perfect in this time zone. Alright, close this. And also here in the controller, let's chain this with oldest so that it's ordered in that way. But again, you'll have to give the date time column so that based on this column, you'll see oldest first. That is the most recent ones first, and then you'll see the later ones. Now remove DD and return a view instead. Return view instructor.upcoming with scheduled classes. Okay, let's create this view in resources instructor upcoming.blade.php. And once again, I'm going to copy from elsewhere and paste this. You can refer to GitHub just to save time. Okay, let's see what we got. Refresh, and great. This is what we see. We are able to get these class type names here because of the relationship. So I'm directly using class type name, and also the minutes, which is displayed here. And then we have the date and time formatted correctly right here. And finally, we have the cancel button. We are yet to make this work. This is wrapped in a form and everything. So let's just set the action to store route schedule.destroy, and a second argument to accept for the model class. And now go to the destroy method in the controller. And here, since we are passing the model, we need to accept the model, which is scheduled class. And then the variable should be named schedule according to the resource route that we've created. So here we quickly check if this class is the one created by our instructor itself by doing if auth user ID equals schedules instructor ID. So if it's not, I will say abort with 403 restricted. Else, we can just say schedule delete. Alright, and then we can redirect to index route. So named route, redirect. This will be schedule.index. And here in the stored method, we forgot to redirect. Here in the stored method, we'll be redirecting to the same schedule.index itself after saving it. Let's check now, refresh, cancel a class, and perfect, it's gone. So instructors can now schedule classes, view upcoming ones, and cancel them. I hope this was a good refresher for CRUD basics for you.